Protests in Kenya have been synonymous with a certain political figure and a certain political faction within the political class in this nation. But this week, because of the finance bill, we have seen a completely new face of the protests in Kenya. And this is the Gen Z and the younger millennials who are stepping out and saying, enough is enough. We want our country back. So who are the Gen Z? They are 65% of the population. The median age in Kenya currently is 19.9 years, and over 65% are below the age of 35. And so they are sat and looked at us, their older siblings and their parents, and realized, apana, the way the country is going, no, something needs to change. They have rejected any political affiliations. They don't want politicians involved even in those protests. So what exactly is happening in Kenya? And what is ailing our nation? In my view, in my humble submission, it is that the leadership has failed to model compassion, to model care in the country. To sympathize or to empathize with the burden that the Kenyans are carrying. And they have talked of one thing while they are doing something totally different. It's almost like when Jesus said, when you see the Pharisees, just say, rather do what they say, but don't do what they do. We have failed, sadly, as the older generation, to model integrity, to model compassion, to model solid value systems to these young people. Okay? And so they feel the nation is moving in the wrong direction. And rightly so, because I remember even during the National Prayer Breakfast, a report was read by, I think, John Kagusha, one of the MPs, saying that there was a conversation and people felt that Kenya is moving in the wrong direction with the taxes, with the cost of living, all of that. That people felt it's like the walls are broken down, just like in the days of Nehemiah of old. When you hear of tax on bread, yes, I know the government has pulled back on that. Tax on bread, tax on diapers, increase on levies, on this, on that, eco tax, and to find girls even and ladies saying kwa hivyo sasa tusinyeshe, let the hearer understand. It's not a good place to be at. I think the optics presented were very disastrous. So even the pullback by the government does not erase an already very bad picture painted, that you don't care about us, you don't care about the wananchi. Is there an opportunity for redemption? Yes, there is. And my submission is that we need the Nehemiah model of leadership to rise up in this nation. So if you are there as a leader, go study the book of Nehemiah, and if you want us to train you, we can train you on what Nehemiah did and how he came up, and turned his nation around. Because Judah was in a state of ruin. Just exactly the way we are. Yes, it may not be physically ruined, but economically and even socially, we're in a state of ruin. And we need a leader and leaders who will rally the nation back to rebuilding herself. Okay? And just to read something from the book of Nehemiah, chapter 5, verse 15. Nehemiah, remember, was governor over Judah for 12 years. That was his term, and there had been governors before him. And he says, but the former governors who were before me laid burdens on the people and took from them bread and wine. Bread has been touched, isn't it? A very, very interesting issue. Ever since those days, bread has been a touchy subject, and we have had strong men removed from power just because of bread. So took from them bread and wine, besides 40 shekels of silver. So tax and bread being taken on top of tax. Yes, even their servants bore rule over the people. But I did not do so because of the fear of God. So we need a leadership that has the fear of God. Okay? A leadership that cares and feels what the wananchi are going through. And their optics, therefore, are in line with the current situation in the country. He says that his servants did not bear rule over the people. His servants did not lord it over the people. Okay? Indeed, he continues, I also continued the work on this wall. So a focused leadership. Focus on building the nation, taking the nation forward. And we did not buy any land. That's another touchy one. So Nehemiah sent a clear message, I'm not here to amass wealth. No. And it reminds me of the words of Lee Kuan Yew, the founding father of Singapore, who said, when I came into power in Singapore, I had two choices. The first choice was to make my family rich and have it listed on the Forbes list of richest people. Second choice was to make Singapore rich for my nation and my people. And he says, I chose the latter. Nehemiah continues to say, all my servants were gathered there for the work. So everyone's hands on deck. There's no one lounging in this. We are here to rebuild our country. We're here to rebuild the world. And so he mentions the people who used to come to visit him, the meals that were prepared for him, and he actually lists exactly what was on the menu every day. But he says, yet in spite of this, I did not demand the governor's provisions, because the bondage was heavy on these people. Nehemiah, therefore, portrayed himself as a leader who understood the suffering of his people, went ahead to listen to them and to ease their suffering, while making sure that his office and his government did not lord it over the people. They did not demand what their predecessors demanded. And he aligned his entire team towards that direction, that we don't demand, unnecessary things from the public, because the people are already burdened with so many bondages and so many burdens that they have. And so that is the kind of leadership the nation needs currently. And I would urge you and I, what steps are we taking? We ourselves, in the way we conduct our business, in the way we do things, at whatever level you are, even in the family, what picture are you portraying? Because the younger generation is watching us very keenly. And they are very intelligent. They are exposed to a lot of information, unlike us and the older generations. So you cannot just push them over and tell them, just keep quiet in the corner. No, that's why they're out on the streets now. So we have a golden opportunity to show true leadership, to show that Nehemiah style of leadership, a servant leadership, a leadership that listens, a leadership that cares, a leadership that acts, to lessen the burden on the people, to make life better, to rebuild the walls of the nation, to rebuild the economy, to rebuild our social system, which is also broken down, to protect the nation from foreign interests who do not have a good plan for this country and for the continent of Africa by extension. God has a good plan for Kenya. And I pray that we all rise to the occasion for the redemption of our nation by making sure that we act in the right way, we act in the fear of God, just as Nehemiah said, because of the fear of God, and that we model integrity, we model service, we model selflessness to the next generation, because they are looking at us and asking themselves, what nation will we have tomorrow? If our parents are doing this, what country will be there for us tomorrow? So let us give them hope once again. Let us inspire hope in our children, in our young people, in our younger siblings. And may God bless Kenya. Shalom Aleichem. Share this message and let it go. Let it go even to the top leadership. Because indeed, we need radically to change the way we do things in this nation and to show a picture that is different from the one that we have shown. A picture of selfishness and greed and opulence, to another picture of compassion, integrity, selflessness. Shalom Aleichem. Thank you for watching.